Hi, I'm Molly Wood, and welcome to the Buzz Report. And now for the Gadget of the Week. The Gadget of the Week is the T-Mobile Sidekick 3. Now, this is the follow-up to the hugely popular Sidekick 2, which is a favorite of party people and celebrities everywhere. Most notably, Paris Hilton, huge Sidekick user. The new version has a smaller design, a 1.3 megapixel camera, Bluetooth, high-speed data, a built-in music player, and even a mini SD card slot. It's crazy. But seriously, aren't you just going to get it because Paris Hilton probably will? I mean, who doesn't want to be like Paris Hilton, right? Or wait, no? Are we not doing that anymore? Well, I wonder what phone Reese Witherspoon carries. And now for the news. Now, we're all still getting used to the news that Bill Gates is going to be leaving day-to-day operations at Microsoft. And I actually sat down with Bill all by myself, and we talked one-on-one about those changes. Here in a special Buzz Report interview is Mr. Bill Gates. Thanks so much for coming in, Bill. Now, Steve Ballmer is going around telling everyone that you're retiring. What's up with that?
I'm not leaving Microsoft.
Really? That's not really what I'd heard.
I'm not leaving Microsoft.
Okay, wrong information. I got it. Well, then let's talk about some other things. How about your personal life? Obviously, Melinda, your wife, has a huge impact on you. Tell us a little bit about how you wooed her.
Using the same approaches we use at Microsoft.
Okay, so ruthlessly crushing the competition. Got it.
The dynamic is exactly the same.
Now, how have those long hours over the years affected your relationship with Melinda?
I'm not as necessary.
Ooh, ouch. I know how that goes. Well, I don't really. But anyway, are you sure you're not leaving Microsoft?
I'm here working as hard as I ever have during these next 2 years.
The next 2 years. Gotcha, Bill. Well, you do seem really relaxed as you head into this transition. And you look good. Your hair, maybe your waistline?
I've had to lighten up in both of those areas.
I thought so. So let's talk a little bit more about Microsoft. Are you worried about turning things over to Steve Ballmer? I mean, he seems a little crazy. Are you going to try to get him on some meds or anything before you go?
Steve and I have had this dialogue.
Understood. Well, now that you're headed for retirement, Bill, when do you start kicking it with the hoochies and the bling bling?
Starting immediately.
And one last question. Does this mean Steve Jobs wins? No comment. Well, thanks so much for being here, Bill, and good luck with everything. That was nice of him to come in like that, don't you think? Now back to the news. After a Massachusetts man contracted the measles in May, the state health agency attempted to alert workers in the huge high-rise building where the sick man had been employed. In order to spread the word, the health agency used a podcast. Unfortunately, the measles ended up spreading a lot faster than the podcast. Now, obviously, I'm a huge fan of high tech, working here at CNET and everything, but in this case, couldn't you have maybe gone with like a sign on the door? I mean, you could have printed it in color if you really want to be tricky. Just like maybe a little tape. I don't know. And now for the second ever installment in the editorial series that I like to call The High Horse. Let me climb on up here. Okay. The net neutrality battle is heating up, and representatives from the telecommunications industry are launching a PR campaign to convince consumers that net neutrality legislation would be a terrible thing that would cause higher taxes, a slower internet, and a dearth of online innovation. And you know, their campaign is really frustrating because it's basically political fear-mongering that doesn't admit that it's the telcos who started this whole thing by proposing a tiered internet structure that would make content providers pay more to have their content delivered reliably. And they definitely don't say anything about how companies like Verizon and AT&T are creating their own internet-based television content. And so while they're making Google and Yahoo pay more for reliable access, they'd be reserving bandwidth on their own pipes for their own competing content. And they don't even try to deal with the question of whether the telecom industry itself is competitive enough, thanks to government regulation, decades of subsidies, and more mega mergers, to give consumers legitimate alternative choices in the advent of widespread dissatisfaction with a tiered internet structure. I just wish that someone would get into the meat of the issue instead of making everything into a bunch of partisan PR. Unfortunately, I can't really do that on this show. It's just not that funny. I'm Molly Wood, and this has been the Buzz Report. Thanks for watching.